is CTV News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carlyle Fiset. We begin tonight with the results from tonight's federal by-elections. Roughly 1 year after earning a minority mandate, Mark Carney's Liberals are poised to turn that into a majority government. Polls closed at 8:30 p.m. in 2 Toronto ridings and 1 in Quebec. The Liberals only needed to win 1 of 3 by-elections tonight. They had a landslide lead early in one of the Toronto ridings up for grabs. The majority government made possible with 5 MPs crossing the floor from opposition parties in recent months, 4 of whom came from the Conservatives. Now, tonight's results would mean the Windsor area is not represented in the Liberal government's soon-to-be majority caucus. Each of the Windsor-Essex ridings are held by the opposition Conservatives, which could mean the region be shut out from government. But political science analysts suggest there may be more to the situation than that.
What people in Windsor could be comforted by is that we are a strategic area. We certainly are front and center in terms of the trade battles. And, that's still going to, regardless of who's the MP, that still has to be a focus for whichever government is in power.
A Windsor family are sharing a story of their grief. They say a loved one was recently killed in Lebanon by an Israeli airstrike. With more on their story, here's Robert Lothian.
Siblings of Windsor's Hassan Haider remember their brother as a devoted father of 5 and a lover of his horses.
He had a dream of having the biggest horse farm in Lebanon. He risked his life to care for his animals that he loved and not leave them behind.
Haider, a Lebanese Canadian, was killed last Thursday by what his family says was part of an Israeli strike. Caring for his land, they say he heard the cries of an injured person and ran to help. They say that's when he was shot by a drone.
They found him shot in the head with so many other injuries, immediately dead. Still at his own property.
Moving to Canada in his teens, Haider came to run an auto shop in Windsor, often returning to his home in Lebanon to take care of his wife and 5 children.
His goal and his dream was to retire at the age of 40. He died at the age of 38. He didn't even get to see that day.
Israel has launched massive attacks on parts of Lebanon in an ongoing conflict with Hezbollah militants. Whether Lebanon was included in a fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran has been heavily disputed.
Maybe did not start with my brother, and I'm sure it's not going to end with my brother unless we put an end to this.
The Haider family is now calling for the Canadian government to play a larger role in facilitating peace and standing up for citizens whose families still live in the war-torn Middle East.
Which government do you want to be? A government that I look up to and always talk about it in good pride? Or a government that I'm going to keep stabbing me in the back thinking that I'm going to just take it for it?
We need all Canadians to stand up and say, enough is enough. We can't just watch our citizens being assassinated by other countries and do nothing.
For now, Haider's siblings say they hope to continue to share his legacy and cherish their memories.
We were split souls. We never separated, So my memories is all around him. Like, he was the closest to me in my family. Like I told you, we were like twins, basically.
Robert Lothian, CTV News.
Attempted murder charges were brought to court today in Windsor. It dates back to gunfire outside a bowling alley 4 years ago where several people were shot. But as Michelle Molesky reports, the identity of the shooter is in dispute.
On April 9th, 2022, 5 people were injured after a shooting outside this East End bowling alley. Fernando Ratcliffe pleaded guilty Monday to 5 counts of attempted murder, discharging a firearm, and being in a vehicle with a loaded handgun. Joshua Fryer, now 23 years old, testified Monday. Less than 15 minutes before the shooting, someone jumped him inside the bowling alley. The ensuing fight left him with a gash on his forehead, so his group left. Fryer got into his truck and drove to the front to pick up his friends. His girlfriend at the time got in the front seat. His brother and Ratcliffe got into the back, he told the judge. As he was driving away, Fryer testified Ratcliffe opened fire from the back seat through his open driver's side window. I could see the gun beside my head, Fryer testified. There were gun shells flying through the air. My ears were ringing, he said. Fryer told the court while he didn't specifically see Ratcliffe with his finger on the trigger, Fryer could see that neither his stepbrother nor his girlfriend were holding a gun. By process of elimination, Fryer testified, the shooter had to be Ratcliffe. Fryer has previously pleaded guilty to being in a vehicle with a loaded handgun. His 8-month house arrest sentence has been served. His brother and ex-girlfriend are both expected to testify during the 5-day trial this week at Superior Court. Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
An update at Windsor City Hall on a multi-million-dollar plan for the downtown core. It's been 2 years since the initiative launched, and there are questions about whether it's meeting its goals. Bob Belichico reports.
We have the tools. We just need to have the will to move it forward.
Downtown BIA Chair Chris McLeod says the Strengthen the Core plan is working. 32 new businesses have opened up since the initiative was introduced in the spring of 2024, and many family-friendly events have been enjoyed. But according to him, the lived experience continues to be a challenge.
What we have today is not tenable for our downtown. You can't have a cohabitation where one party negatively impacts another.
McLeod appreciates the work and positive impacts of Strengthen the Core, but feels the city is at a crossroad in the efforts to revitalize the downtown core. He suggested the centralization of services, including the moving of the downtown mission from its current location on Olette Avenue.
It's going to take council, and it's going to take the organizations to work together, and it's going to take, people listening to people and working together to say, hey, listen, there's a better way. There's a better way to deliver services. There's a better way to take care of people. And that's what this is all about.
McLeod is accepting of the city's exploration of repurposing Windsor Arena in a plan to expand the H4 hub to help address homelessness, mental health, and addictions.
So if my choice is that I either continue to suffer across my downtown with all of the services being spread out, or I get 80% of downtown that I can work on revitalizing and 20% needs to bear the brunt of those services, then I'm willing to accept that.
Councillor Ronaldo Agostino put forth a recommendation plus administration reporting back with options for the centralization of services.
Not asking for more money. I'm just shaking the trees and asking that we change the way we do things, because I believe, and the businesses of downtown believe, and the residents of downtown believe, that there's a better way to do things.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
LaSalle councillors will consider changes to statutory holiday rules tomorrow and a recommendation to allow most businesses to stay open without individual permission. Chris Campbell reports.
Shopping on holidays in LaSalle could soon look very different with the proposed bylaw that would allow most retail businesses to open their doors year-round.
Our larger stores like the Dares, Freshco, Windsor Crossings, they've all went through this process before, and so I think this, like I said, kind of creates fairness for all businesses, because some of the other businesses who aren't working in a large franchise or large corporation may not know that they have the ability to go through this process. So it really is creating fairness across the municipality.
Mayor Crystal Meloche says the current system, where businesses apply one at a time for exemptions, can leave both owners and customers guessing.
It still gives businesses that flexibility to decide what they want to do and what they don't want to do, but it takes the guesswork out of it for everybody.
Right now, businesses pay a $220 fee and go through a public process to open on holidays, but the town says that system is time-consuming and doesn't always cover administrative costs.
I don't mind opening on statutory holidays, but I think that people should be able to have an option.
At Lube King Express on Malden, local business owner Mo Alatif says they can see both sides.
I usually give them a time off, but if they do work on a stat holiday, I definitely pay them extra. Thank you. I usually compensate them for working a stat holiday, but I never force anybody to work on those days, because you should be able to rest on these days.
And while the proposal would give businesses the option to open, some residents say just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I think that the people should have a chance to have the holiday off. They work all week, they deserve it, and we can wait and get our stuff on the next day. Doesn't have to get it on a holiday.
I don't think they should be open. I think everybody deserves a break with their family.
Everybody can have time with their families and just relax and all that. We're in such a busy, everybody's in such a rush. We need time to relax and all that.
Under the proposal, Christmas Day would likely remain the only mandatory retail closure. Council is expected to discuss the idea Tuesday. Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Amherstburg councillors voted in favor earlier tonight, supporting a staff recommendation, taking another step toward designating the former General Amherst High School property a heritage site. Valente Development purchased the property in April 2024 with plans to construct 2 mixed-use towers with 144 residential units. The company's owner had indicated strong opposition to any heritage designation last month, claiming he wasn't aware of the potential designation before he bought the land. Tonight's 4-3 decision in favor of the staff recommendation would keep the building from having its heritage features like murals from being removed. The provincial government has introduced new legislation imposing sweeping changes for school governance. That includes slashing the number of trustees at the Toronto School Board while appointing new non-elected executives in their place. Siobhan Morris reports.
What are you painting today?
After spending the last year threatening to eliminate elected school board trustees, the Minister of Education instead introduced a bill he says
vastly reducing their ability to disrupt the system, vastly reducing their ability to cause division within the system.
With more scrutiny on expenses, capping pay, and changing responsibilities. Paul Calandra stopped short of axing trustees for consistency and to stay out of court.
No interest in opening up a constitutional fight or a charter fight.
With protections built in for Catholic and French boards, the only board losing trustees is the country's biggest. The Toronto District School Board will drop from 22 trustees to 12. Keep in mind, trustees are sidelined while the board's under supervision, setting up some complicated election scenarios.
If nobody wants to run because the board is under supervision, then that's fine. The ministry has the statutory powers to fill those vacancies, and we'll do it when we think it's necessary to do so.
The opposition leader calls this an attempt by Calandra to make himself
the emperor of education, give himself the ability to appoint, frankly, whoever he chooses, to whatever role he chooses. And that means the appointment, I believe, of more failed Conservative candidates.
The bill splits and renames the role of Director of Education. They'll become the board's CEO, someone with a background in business.
Takes the responsibility for budgeting, the responsibility for management of a board, and puts it in the hands of a CEO.
An educator will take on the part of the job focused on teaching. Calandra says in some cases that work will still be done by one person.
It is not going to solve the crisis. It's only going to make it worse.
What's happening here is bad. It's wrong. They're not focused on the right things.
Education union leaders agree the minister isn't addressing teachers' core concerns.
Class size, class complexity, and safety, but that never comes up. All these other issues are real. They matter, but they are not the priority. They're primarily the result of the issues the minister is ignoring.
They see Bill 101 as a piece of legislation
that is leading to the corporatization of our publicly funded education system.
An approach they say just won't work.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A local cooking duo are gaining a following on social media for their shared love of family and great food. With more on the recipe for their success, here's Gary Archibald.
Yeah. Look.
I love you.
Yeah. This is my buddy right here.
Yeah.
Over the past year, the love Justin Borelli and his Nona share for cooking has become an Instagram sensation. Their Instagram page alone, showing authentic Italian cuisine, has 64,000 followers and counting, and they have ambitions for the future.
He asked, are we going to make a cookbook with all your recipes?
Please think.
I think that's the next project.
We can try.
We can try.
Okay.
All recipes, Treviso, Veneto, maybe a few Calabresi in there.
Nona, now in her 90s, has dementia, but there is tremendous love and support from family and friends, and now thousands more online.
Perfetto? Yeah? It's ready to go? Okay, I'm going to do the mantecare here.
Yeah, don't get it. Tutto.
Okay.
Please.
It's always been more about kinship, family roots, and love than cooking for these two, and it seems people from all walks of life can relate.
But I was noticing that her recipes were, no one was going to carry these things on if I didn't spend that time with her and learn these things. And these were things that from my childhood I would look forward to on Christmas, I would look forward to on Easter, and the fact that those might not be there down the road if we didn't learn these things from her. That's why I started doing this, yeah.
And so the cooking, sharing, and the bonding continues for this dynamic duo, and the extended family and friends keeps growing well beyond the kitchen. Gary Archibald, CTV News.
Still to come, a world record road trip on 3 wheels. The Canadian pair and their African adventure. And we say good evening now to meteorologist Gary Archibald for a look at the forecast. Talking warmer temperatures, but they're bringing some rain, Gary.
You're right about that, Carlyle, my friend. It could be just like today. Temperatures in the mid-20s, imagine that. Humidex value 30 to 31, say about 330. It felt like the middle of summer, didn't it? But it's not, obviously, well above seasonal. We'll wait and see tomorrow if there were any local records, temperature records, in terms of highs and lows, well above the average. That should be closer to 13 for a high. We were closer to 28. And the low today was almost 17. It was not a cool day in any respects. Our average low at this time of the year is closer to 3 degrees Celsius. Here's the big picture. We are in the lull, but approaching from the west, 2 waves. In fact, there are 3 that are going to work their way across the northern U.S. Central Plains, right through the heart of the Great Lakes, and bring some showers, maybe some thunderstorms, developing as early as tomorrow morning pre-dawn. So, upper Michigan getting hit. It'll work its way over Lake Huron, Georgian Bay, but the cold front that's sweeping with it is our bone of contention. And that's where things could get interesting. There it is. And it does seem to break down somewhat as it approaches, but there will be a second wave there for Wednesday early in the morning that could be even more potent. I think Tuesday and Wednesday combined, and maybe even Thursday through the middle of the day, 2.5 days worth of gray, wet, and thundery weather potentially. The overall forecast remains very warm. Case in point, the overnight temperature under cloudy conditions, again with that rain threatening with thunderstorm potential, 15 degrees Celsius on the plus side. It'll be windy just like it was today. Southwesterlies sustained at around 20 with gusts to 40. The breakdown for tomorrow has the rain early. There will be some breaks in the cloud cover through the midday and afternoon, but keep that umbrella nearby. And of course, when it roars, meaning you hear thunder, you see lightning, you want to be indoors. It's always good to remember that. Take a look at the next 7 days. Highs and lows, the daily maximums and minimums anticipated, I kid you not. Temperatures in the low to mid-20s for the next 5 days straight. But showers, definitely a big part of that story. We will finally cool off and be more seasonal almost a week from now, Sunday into Monday, down to 12 and then 11 degrees Celsius. Some models even have some flurries a week and a half from now. Imagine that. Let's look at your weather.
Thanks, Gary. American authorities are now blockading the Strait of Hormuz, restricting access to Iranian ports. There are now mounting international concerns about where the conflict goes from here after this latest escalation. Annie Bergeron-Oliver reports.
Oil prices surged Monday above $100 a barrel as U.S. Navy ships began blocking the Strait of Hormuz, stopping all vessels from entering or exiting Iranian ports.
We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing.
Since the war began, Iran has heavily restricted access to the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway through which 20% of traded oil normally passes. President Donald Trump says the U.S. doesn't need the strait and that his latest move in the region will get Iran back to the negotiating table after talks broke down this weekend over Iran's refusal to end its nuclear program.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal.
The new U.S. blockade seeks to starve Iran of an estimated $200 million a day in oil reserves, a form of economic pressure experts say could backfire. Iran has threatened to strike any vessel that it believes is violating the 2-week ceasefire.
Absolutely, we're escalating the conflict. And that is really the intent, escalation. But to what point?
Experts say the blockade likely goes against international law, and several U.S. allies, including Spain, France, Turkey, and the UK, have criticized Trump's move.
My guide from the start of this conflict has always been our national interest. That's why we stayed out of the war and why we continue to stay out of the war.
Economists say Canadians can expect to see higher inflation over the coming months, even if this fight over the strait is somehow solved within days. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, Pope Leo has responded to criticism from Donald Trump after the head of the Catholic Church demanded political leaders negotiate for peace.
I basically said that the message of the church, my message, the message of the gospel, blessed are the peacemakers. I do not look at my role as being political, politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loud against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states, to look for just solutions to problems. Too many people are suffering in the world today. Too many innocent people are being killed. And I think someone has to stand up and say, there's a better way to do this.
Trump had posted one of his rants on social media last night saying Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great Pope, not a politician. Canada's main stock index edged higher as the price of oil closed near $100 a barrel. The TSX gained 183 points. In New York, the Dow added 302, the Nasdaq up 281. The Canadian dollar gained 0.07 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold lost $20 an ounce. Oil added $2.51 a barrel. Welcome back. More than 1,000 actors, writers, and directors are voicing their opposition to the proposed merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery. It's a deal worth more than $110 billion. And in an open letter, the entertainment workers say consolidating the two legacy studios would further reduce jobs and movies, creating fewer opportunities while increasing costs and decreasing choice for audiences. It also says the merger prioritizes the interests of a small group of powerful stakeholders over the broader public good. Representatives for the two studios have not yet commented publicly on the letter. Former pop star Britney Spears has entered rehab a month after she was arrested on suspicion of impaired driving. A representative for the singer says she checked into a treatment facility voluntarily. She's also expected to appear in court to face the charge in May. Spears was accused of showing signs of impairment after she was pulled over for driving erratically. One of television's longest-standing institutions has a new home in Canada. Starting this fall, CTV and Crave will take over exclusive rights to NBC's Saturday Night Live.
Bottom line, all of you should be thanking us. We took out a horrendous, horrible leader who was oppressing his own people. But don't get any ideas. And live from New York, it's Saturday Night!
Saturday Night Live is currently running through the final few episodes of its 51st season, and its 52nd will be available on CTV and Crave. The iconic sketch comedy show was created by and is still produced by Canadian Lorne Michaels.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
And before we go tonight, checking back in with Gary Archibald for one more look at the forecast. Gary.
Carlyle, I think it's warm tonight. It still is into tomorrow morning. Pre-dawn, still in the mid-teens, maybe a low of 15, 16 degrees. Showers, very close to seeing it. Perhaps in the next couple of hours. Early tomorrow morning, temperature up to 25. Wow, that's warm. And then more showers. Potentially. And the embedded thunderstorms could take place early tomorrow morning pre-dawn and again in the afternoon. Wednesday is still warm, not as warm, but still plenty warm enough. 22 and gray and rainy. Thursday, Friday in the low 20s. Saturday's even holding on to cloudiness. Warm temperatures in the low 20s and showers. Showers and cooler Sunday down to 12. That's seasonal for this time of the year. And 11 degrees and mostly sunny a week from now. What would you choose? Rain and balmy weather or cooler and sunny? Wherever you are, enjoy your weather and have yourselves a good night. Carlyle?
Thanks very much, Gary. And finally tonight, a Canadian man embarking on a world record road trip. Adam Sawatsky has more on his African adventure on 3 wheels.
After Seth Scott embarked on his first road trip,
I think it's like this freeing feeling of
across Canada and the U.S.,
knowing that you can drive for 10 hours.
He dreamed of doing a dynamic drive that nobody had done before.
Finding out that nobody had ever driven the length of Africa in a 3-wheeler, it really stuck with us.
So Seth and his friend Oliver Jenks decided to drive from London to Cape Town in a 3-wheeled Reliant Robin.
They kind of become the butt of the joke all around the world for being terrible at being a car.
So they gave her a wonderful name, Sheila.
Kind of rhymed with 3-wheeler.
They also set 3 goals: break a world record, document the drive on social media, and fundraise for a charity that helps send the poorest kids in Africa to school.
And you realize how lucky you are, how difficult things can be, and how happy people can be in different circumstances.
Which is why, when countless things went wrong, like when Seth and Oliver suffered debilitating food poisoning, or Sheila's axle broke, transmission died, and engine blew up, they chose to focus on the countless things that went right.
We met some incredible people, and we saw a lot of fantastic and beautiful things. There's something very special about Africa that'll forever kind of have a place in my heart.
And then, after traveling across 20 countries in 4 months, they found out they'd raised $24,000 for charity. And after driving 25,000 kilometers, discovered they broke the world record for longest journey in a 3-wheeled vehicle.
It's still hard to fathom that we actually accomplished it.
But they did. And now that Seth is back home in his 4-wheel vehicle,
it's a Kia Rondo, so we call it Ronda.
He hopes you'll be inspired to overcome every obstacle on the road to realizing your own dreams.
You don't need a $100,000 4x4 to do something. You just need to have the drive and the motivation.
And if, like Sheila, you can transform yourself from the butt of jokes into the heroine of an epic underdog story, all the better. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night.